Terim batayega who's gonna be our first speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mahnoor Jamil, a remarkable young individual who at age of 23 has achieved over 1,000 certificates from esteemed organizations such as Microsoft, Cisco, Amazon, and IBM.
आप सबकी भरपूर तालियों में महनूर जमील.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Mahnoor Jamil. I'm a computer scientist from Berry University, and I'm the Assistant Director IT for UBL. I'm the chapter lead for Pakistani Women in Computing. So now, a very quick background about myself. I come from a very diversified background where I have worked as an AI engineer, as a vulnerability assessor and penetration tester, as a digital marketeer, as a project manager, as an SQA engineer, etc. I have 100 plus certifications from organizations inclusive of Microsoft, Cisco, Amazon, IBM, etc. And I'm the Google Scholar. I have the scholarship by Google. So, moving forward. Perfect. So today I'm going to talk about what is cybersecurity and why is cybersecurity important. I'm also going to talk about the crucial subject in cybersecurity, that is the CIA triad. I'm also going to talk about what is phishing, the data breach case studies, which is inclusive of Facebook, LinkedIn, Baikia. Then I'm also going to talk about the types of attacks, how to prevent cybersecurity attacks, the companies on cybersecurity, increasing growth of cybersecurity, and from where you can actually learn about cybersecurity. So the question arises. What is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is a mechanism through which you can protect your data, whether it's on-site or whether it's offline, from unauthorized access. So basically, if I am the legitimate user, only I should be able to log into any website or application. Why is cybersecurity important? There are multiple points. So firstly, it helps us to identify threats. What is threat? Threat is any harmful incident that could actually impact your data. Maybe you might lose your data or anything. So this is actually a threat. Then it helps us to measure potential vulnerabilities. So what is a vulnerability? Vulnerability is any flaw in a system that could actually help the attacker to attack or exploit your computer. Then comes, if you know about cybersecurity, you will be efficiently be able to implement precautionary measures. Then, if you know about cybersecurity and you have your precautionary measures implemented, your company and your personal data will be preserved. So, as I said, this is the most crucial subject of cybersecurity. So this is the CIA triad. This methodology covers three things: confidentiality, I for integrity, and A for availability. So now, what is confidentiality? Confidentiality is basically that if I am the sender and you are the receiver, only you should be getting the message that is intended for you. So for this, we have a widely known methodology known as encryption. Then we have integrity. Integrity is basically ensuring that no data is modified at any point. So for this, we utilize the concept of hashing, we use the concept of digital signatures, and all of these things I'll be discussing in the next slides. Then comes availability. So availability is basically that any information that should be available to you at all times is available to you whenever you want it. So in case you want to ensure that, you need to have backup, you need to have redundant systems. So as I talked about confidentiality and the methodology to preserve confidentiality, so this is what you call encryption. So as you can see, we have a sender and we have a plain text. The sender has to send this plain text to the receiver. So now what he does is that he takes the receiver's public key and he implements that on the plain text. As soon as he does that, this is known as the encryption methodology. This would convert the plain text into ciphertext. So now the receiver only has ciphertext. So how would he know what the actual message was? So he has to perform the procedure known as decryption. So now he has his own private key, and he's going to utilize that on the ciphertext and get a plain text. So this is utilized for integrity. This is known as hashing. So you have a hashing algorithm. So as soon as you have an input, you parse it into the hashing algorithm, and you get a hashed value. So we talked about encryption. We talked about hashing. So what is the difference between these two? So encryption is a two-way thing. As I said, we have to encrypt and we have to decrypt. In hashing, you can only hash it once. You cannot reverse it. Then comes, for example, if I have parsed 256 bytes of data, this is the plain text, I would get a variable output in encryption. In hashing, it will always be of fixed length, irrespective of whatever you have parsed. So for encryption, we have multiple algorithms, such as AES, DES, etc. And for hashing, we have utilized SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-256, SHA-1, SHA-512, and MD5. So this is one of the most common attacks that is happening nowadays across the globe, not only in Pakistan. So this is known as phishing. So what actually happens is that there's a person, the attacker pretends to be from a legitimate source. So you get an email, and you think it's from a legitimate source. So whenever you click it, it takes you to a phishing website. So phishing gives access to online accounts, your personal data, gives you permission to modify, etc. So for example, maybe some of you might have received a fake email from Facebook asking you and creating an urgency that you have to log in as soon as possible, or else your account will be blocked. This is a pure example of phishing. So another example is of Western Washington University. As you can see, this is an email depicting to be from Western Washington University. So number one, you have to be very vigilant about the typo errors in the email. As you can see, the spelling of alert is not right. Then, as soon as you hover onto the click here URL, you can see it is not taking you to any Washington University URL. It is taking you to a digital metrics URL. That means this is a phishing email, and you have to be very stringent about it. So what is the dangers of phishing? Money could be stolen. There could be fraudulent charges on you. Maybe your social media is compromised. So the attacker could pretend to be you and post things on your social media. And they can also impersonate themselves to a friend or someone you actually are familiar with. So how to prevent phishing attacks? So don't click on any emails that you are not sure is of a legitimate source. Number two, be aware of pop-up windows. Not randomly just click on any pop-up that is appearing in front of you. Lastly, never give out your personal information over email, over phone, or to anyone in person as well. So today I'm going to discuss about the data breach case studies that is linked to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Bykia. So in 2019, 553 million users were impacted during the phishing attack on Facebook. So phone numbers, full names, locations, email addresses, and biographical information was compromised. The attack, yet again, phishing. In 2021, 700 million users' data was compromised on LinkedIn. Full names, phone numbers, geolocation, your MAC addresses, almost everything was compromised. The attack, yet again, phishing. 2 years back, there was an attack on Bykia where 400 million files were impacted. So files inclusive of user token IDs, their API logs, their geolocations, everything was compromised. The attack was zero encryption. As there was no encryption on server, the data was lost. So this is another attack known as denial of service. So what the hacker really does is, he has a PC and he tries to generate a fake traffic to the server. As soon as he does that, the server is actually exhausting himself to attain or to serve the fake request. So this way, the server resources gets exhausted. And this is on a very, very small scale. This is on a large scale. This is known as distributed denial of service. So now, he's not going to take one PC. He's going to take 100 or maybe 150 or maybe 1,000 PCs. He's going to create all those PCs into bots, and then he's going to send a fake traffic. As soon as he's going to do that, now the server has absolutely no clue whether this is a fake traffic or this is a legitimate traffic. One way or the other, the server has to serve it. So it will actually exhaust the server resources, and maybe a legitimate resource would not be able to utilize the resources on the server. Then comes man-in-the-middle attack. So this is actually something that you need to use. This is an attack to confidentiality and integrity both. Look, so we have a sender, we have a receiver, and we have a man in the middle. So he can intercept, that means this is a breach to confidentiality. He can modify and send the modified data to the receiver. This means this is a breach to the integrity. So ransomware, one of my favorite attacks. So what it actually does is, maybe you're downloading a file and there is the WannaCry virus within it. So what it actually is going to do is, it's going to encrypt all your data on your PC, and now you have absolutely no clue what the data is on your PC. So if you want to decrypt it, you have to pay a certain amount of ransom. And the ransom is in Bitcoins. So now you have absolutely no clue, even after paying, you will retrieve your data. So here, you have to implement the concept of availability, where you're going to have constant and redundant backups. So we talked about cybersecurity, we talked about data breaches, we talked about a lot of things. So how to prevent cybersecurity? So basically, we have an intrusion detection system, and then we have an intrusion prevention system. Then we have multiple firewalls such as Akamai, we have Fortinet, we have Kaspersky, we have Cloudflare. Then you have to train your staff. I was working in an organization where there was a redundant email forwarded to the entire employees. That was actually a phishing email generated by the HR. So if you click on it, you're going to get fined. So this is a very good way to train the staff. And then you need to have regular backups and software updates in case of any attack, even if it's ransomware. So there are many companies in cybersecurity. You have Trillium, you have National Telecommunication Corporation, you have Delta Tech, you have Catalyst Security, you have ParkCert. So the cybersecurity is increasing heavily in demand. Why? There are a lot of digitalized social platforms nowadays. Not even social, in fact, there are many platforms. So if you want to order any food, you're utilizing Food Panda. That is on internet. If you want to utilize transportation, you have BikeCare, you have InDrive, you have Uber, you have Careem, utilizing it on internet. If you want to have a professional communication, it's either on Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, again, on internet. We have e-commerce websites. We have online banking. It could be UBL Digital Banking. It could be HPL. It could be Askari. So we have online banking going on. And then we have social media platforms. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, you have Threads. So everything is online. So if you really want to learn more about cybersecurity, or you actually want to perform an attack that is ethical, and you also want to find a solution to it and how to mitigate that attack, these three platforms are the best. This is something that I've tried myself, and I would also recommend to any of you who is absolutely interested in learning about cybersecurity. So this is Portsfigure, there's TryHackMe, and there's Hack the Box. So that's about it. So I want to thank you all for being a lovely audience, and I want to thank Connected Pakistan and Chamber of Commerce for inviting me for this session. This is my QR code. If in case you guys want to connect to me through LinkedIn, you can always scan it. And in case you want to connect further, we can always connect during the networking session. So once again, thank you everyone for being a lovely audience.